So hello and welcome. Welcome everybody. Can everybody hear me? Maybe if you can hear me and you're here, you could say, yes, I can hear you. Fantastic. Awesome. So welcome everybody. This is one of the things that we always need to check, that everybody can hear us. Fantastic. Thank you. Thank you, Nancy. Thank you, Irma. Thank you, Jenna. Fantastic, loud and clear. Excellent. So thank you, everyone. Thank you for joining today. Today, November the 5th, and we are streaming, broadcasting live from International House University Media Room. Remember that this is one of the wonderful things that we are doing right now under these pandemic circumstances, and also more importantly, just to make sure that we are reaching out to every single one of you. We have so many people from different places in the country and maybe even beyond, outside Mexico, outside the country, and wherever you're connecting from. Thank you for joining today. My name is Orlando Delgado Mata, and I'm the director of International House, the teacher training operations at International House University by the IH Mexico Group. And today, I would like to hello, Eric. Greetings from Morelia. That's fine, Eric. Great to see you here. Today, I would like to introduce you to one of our best, I think, trainers in the house. At International House University. He's been with us for quite some time now. His name is Tim Matsuda. We have the pleasure of having him join us today. He is one of our trainers, on the several teacher training programs that we're running at International House University, and his specialty also is, among several other things, is educational technologies. And today he's going to tell us a bit more about the best practices for teaching online under this current pandemic. Maybe you are currently teaching online, you have been forced to teach online, or you are looking to teaching online. Tim Matsuda, thank you for joining us today. Thank you on behalf of the whole team of International House University. And the floor is yours, Tim. All right. So
thank you so much, Orlando, for that wonderful introduction.
Of course.
I hope I can live up to it. So here we go.
Awesome. Fantastic.
Excellent. So I will start sharing. Here we go now. And let's make this a little bit. Okay, I see the chat flashing. I know we're going to have a Q&A at the end. And so hopefully I could cover those questions for you as they come up.
Yes, remember that I was going to say, sorry, that was my bad, guys. Tim is going to give his wonderful presentation today. And if you have any questions, of course, feel free to go to the chat. I'll be hunting your questions in the chat box. But also remember that there is a Q&A section, right? There's a Q&A section right at the bottom. So you only have to click there, go ask the questions, and then we'll be collecting them at the end so that Tim can answer those questions, right? Nicholas is asking, are you going to get this presentation? Yes, this is being recorded, Nicholas. So we're going to give this to you if you register for the webinar, and if you're here, of course. All right. So sorry about that, Tim. Back to you.
Not at all. Thank you. All right. So like Orlando was saying, some of us have been forced to teach online, or we've been teaching online. And so we're going to talk about going from the brick, right, the classroom, to the click, or online teaching. And so I always start out with a poll, because I feel so alone when we do these webinars. And so in the chat, I will put the link for the vote. If you're not on Zoom with us, you could go to menti.com and use this code that you see here, 6337941, and you can vote along with everyone else. And the question here is, what words do you think of, or what words come to mind when you hear the words online teaching? So obviously things like the internet, computer, but what other words? You could hear the the song outside, no? What other words do you think of when you hear online teaching? So here we go. We see some words popping up. And if you have more than 3 words, absolutely, you could go and put more than 3 words. Yeah. I see some in the chat, which is nice. No limits in the chat. Detached participants, certainly an issue. Tired, boring, overtime, absolutely. All right, so it seems like internet challenging or a challenge seems to come up a lot. That word's big. Stress. Hopefully we could give you some tips today to reduce some of that stress. Hard, the camera's off, no contact, technology. All right. So it looks like challenge, challenging, stress. These words tend to pop up a lot. That's why they're big in the word cloud. Good, good. I love to see this. I know we have about 100 of us, a little over 100 on Zoom, and I don't know who else is on with the YouTube, but please, you could go to the link I put in the chat or menti.com and use this code you see at the top of the screen. All right, boring. I hope that's not for the student or the teacher. Hopefully we could change that as well. Good, fun. Glad to see fun in there because it certainly can be fun. All right, so I'll give about another 30 seconds or so just to see if we have any more changes. Zoom is another one, which we'll certainly be talking about. And Blanca, I see you raised your hand, but unfortunately, in this webinar setting, I can't get much feedback from you. And so hopefully we could talk about this stuff during the Q&A. All right, you guys, excellent. Thank you so much for your participation. It lets me know that I'm not alone in this bubble. Good, good. All right, you guys. And so that was the first question. Looks like challenge, stress comes up. Yeah, good, good. All right, so let's take a look at this other one. What makes an online lesson a good lesson? So this is on the same link. And let me just move the question forward. So what makes an online lesson a good lesson? Hopefully we could see some ideas scroll up. Okay, you're planning, dynamic, good, interactive, absolutely. Fine, yes, be prepared. We'll talk about that as well. Interactive, right? Preparation, digital resources, engaging, I just saw pop up in the chat. Yes, clear objectives, interaction, organization, yes, variety. Good, good. It looks like, yes, interaction, connection, creating rapport. Yeah, certainly important. What makes an online lesson good? Gamification, yes, which we'll touch on. Creativity, yeah. Entertainment, yeah, or entertaining. Yeah, keep the learners engaged. Yeah, variety of activities, resources. Making sure students have a meaningful lesson. Absolutely, very important. Yeah, interesting, dynamic, yes, and with a purpose. I think that goes hand in hand with a meaningful lesson. Yeah, effective, interactive. Yeah, playing games, lots of nice ways to incorporate learning in games. Good organization, excellent. Being motivating, yes. Students' participation. Yeah, technology, of course, interesting, dynamic, motivating. Yeah, participation is, I think, a nice key. Try to something to include in the lessons, of course. Interesting, creative. Yes, have students participate. Yeah, interactive, dynamic, wonderful. Ah, the teacher. I'm glad someone brought that up because the teacher certainly does make a big difference. Excellent, you guys. So great to see all this. Yes, dynamic, a good internet connection. Yeah, some things we can control, some things we cannot, but good internet connection certainly is important. Visuals, yes, attractive visuals, especially at lower levels and when you're working with kids. Absolutely. Excellent, you guys. Again, thank you so much for your participation. It lets me know that I'm not talking to myself because I can't see anyone on the screen. All right, you guys. Let me go ahead and start sharing this. So, yes, that's me, Tim. That was my pre COVID look when I used to go to the barber. Not so much anymore, but nonetheless, let's take a look here. So we're going to take a look at online teaching holistically, though, right? Because you guys brought up preparation, and that's certainly a big part of it. It doesn't necessarily happen during the teaching, right? So I've kind of broken it down into 3 areas. Yeah, the pre-teaching, what we have to do before the actual lesson, and then while teaching, right, or during the teaching, different tools, online and offline, and of course, just how to teach online. And then we'll talk a little bit about post teaching, right? To avoid burnout, because this way of working from home, like many of us are doing, can be very tiring. So it's important to manage that carefully. And if some of you guys were here for the launch, the first little bit of the presentation might be a little bit familiar because we will certainly be going over some of these items. All right. And so to get us started, how can we get prepared, right? How can we get ready for the teaching? And of course, as many of us have learned, there's a lot of lesson planning that happens ahead of time, a lot more than teaching face to face. And so that certainly is a big part of it as well. But another part of it is how we approach the day, how we start the day, right? And so, even more so now that we're teaching from home, yeah, having a routine is essential, right? For when you're working from home, because you don't have directors, coordinators, your colleagues keeping you accountable for your work hours or your work habits during the day. You don't have to rely on public transportation or schedules. And the beauty of working from home, of course, is not having to deal with these things, right? But also part of not working at home, right? The beauty of having an office to go to, for lack of better words, is the, the rhythm. Every single day, you leave the house, right? It's automatic. It's what you do. You arrive at the office, the classroom, what have you. You do your day, you leave, and it's a routine. And when we work at home, this routine disappears. And so you have a lot more freedom in how you work, but this could also mean procrastination, laziness, and just being unproductive overall. Right? So even though you don't have to clock in at work every day, you should have a morning routine that gets you ready. Right? And if you want, you could vote on this. You could go to the link here that you see, or I will put this link in the chat. And this question kind of connects to what I'll talk about here. Oh, my chat disappeared. All right, so I just put in the vote now. I put a link there. Or again, if you don't, or if you're not on Zoom with us, you could just go to the link on the screen or scan the QR code. All right, so part of having a morning routine, like I was saying, is, setting alarm in the morning, getting up at the same time each day, right? Do whatever it is you need to get your day started, right? Yeah, for me, it's take a shower, make my bed, get my cup of coffee ready, right? So whatever getting ready means for you, you need to do that. And of course, part of that for me is to change into regular clothes, right? Not teach in the clothes I was sleeping in. I used to do that at the beginning, way before. This was before teaching, actually. But having this routine, right, and mentally changing your clothes, or changing your clothes also mentally get you prepared. And so as comfy as it is to work in your pajamas, please don't. Yes, this ritual of changing out of what you're sleeping in really helps your brain transform and get ready for the day. And so I'm curious here on the vote. Let's take a look at what the results look like. So yeah, so some of us get completely ready, like full uniform, like you're gonna walk into work, right? The majority is like me. Yes, I wear professional clothes, but I want to be comfortable, because at home, good. And some of us wear casual clothes. And yeah, I mean, part of the perk of teaching at home is you could roll out of bed and get right to work. So I don't blame you guys who do that. But again, consider changing your clothes just to mentally, right? Just so your brain gets around being at home, but you're still in work mode. Yeah, so it looks like most of us look like me here in this picture, right? I'm wearing nice, comfortable shorts and my flip flops, but I have my work shirt on. Excellent. And so, again, I just want to reiterate having that morning routine, right? Taking advantage of this routine or habit that we have and just changing it to help you be more productive for the day. Yeah, so create this morning routine, find out what it is for you that you need to get ready and do just that. And then the second thing I want to touch on for preparation, again, this is kind of physically being ready. So if you want, you could vote here. It's the same link. Let me just move the question forward. All right. And next. Okay, for some reason, let me refresh this real quick. Sorry, guys. It's not letting you vote. All right, so this is one of the things we certainly have to be prepared for. Here we go. So now you should have the second voting window available. Should look like this, yes. Do you have a dedicated work area for work? And so again, I talked about changing your clothes mentally gets you ready. And so having a dedicated workplace will physically help you get ready, right? Because everything at home becomes a distraction. Anything an eye shot, right? Your laundry, the clothes that need to be folded, right? The chores that you have to do. And not just that, if you're sitting down at your coffee table, or maybe you're working from your bed or your couch, right? You have all the conveniences of home. So maybe the Netflix is calling out because you need to finish your series, or these little chores that need to get done. And so having a home office would certainly be ideal. But some of us, right, we don't have that kind of accommodation. And so having a home office is ideal because you could close the door and forget the outside world and focus on work, right? But for me, for example, I live in the studio. So I kind of work like this guy you see on the right-hand side. Yes, where I have my bed next to me and I have a table, my laptop, and my workstation, if you will. But this is where I come. And when I come here, again, I'm prepared and ready for work. I have all my work things here on my table, laptops here set up, ready to teach. And different people may have different modes or ways. For example, when I'm planning a webinar, I kind of like to spread everything out. So I sit on my bed and I have everything spread out so I could see everything. So depending on how you work, definitely find a place that's dedicated just for work if you can. Okay, some of us go to work. All right, be careful out there, you guys. And some of us have a home office. Excellent. Like I said, that's ideal because you could close the door to outside close the world to the outside and focus on what you're doing. Most of us work in the same spot. And again, that's nice. It's part of that routine. And your brain also realizes or recognizes when you're in this area with your computer set up, you're at work. And that's an important thing to have. Nice. Excellent. So again, if you could have a home office, perfect. That's ideal. So you could close your door to distractions. But no matter how you work, find a comfortable place for you to work and designate that as your work area. Cool. All right. So the last thing I want to touch on as far as preparation is certainly going to be time management, right? And this not only covers having to plan your lessons, because like I said, working online, you have to create these presentations and whatnot, and these online or digital handouts for your students to work with. So there tends to be more upfront preparation. Whereas when we were teaching in the classroom, there's a little bit of improvisation that we would certainly take advantage of from our experiences in teaching. And so on top of all the planning stuff, it's also setting up a calendar. And this is one of the main things I do want to talk about, because this not only affects your teaching and your relationship with your students, but it will also come into home life, family life, and how it mixes. And so I've moved the screen forward so you could vote now. Tell me, how do you manage your time, right? Do you set up a calendar? Do you share that with your students so your students know what's due when, but more importantly, when you're available for them, what your office hours are or classroom hours, right? And do you share the schedule or calendar with your family or the people you live with, so they know that during this time and that time, I'm at work. Please don't bother me, right? And even with kids, especially when you're working at home with kids, it's really important to have this schedule, to have this boundary, right? And you let them know, and even kids will understand, right? During this time, I'm at work. Please don't bother me, outside of emergencies, obviously. But then having that schedule, right? You also need to respect the schedule. And we'll talk a little bit more about this during the post teaching. But if your kids understand that when you're at work or these work hours, you can't be bothered, also let them know once you're not at work, once you're off the clock, so to speak, you are 100% available for them. And as long as they know that you'll be available during these off work hours, they'll be less likely to interrupt you during work hours. And I say less likely because no interruptions is probably impossible, but at least you could foster this understanding, right? And so this not only goes into your teaching or professional life, but it also goes into a little bit of that work-home balance. And so be very clear with your friends, right? Your family. When I'm at work during these hours, please don't disturb me, just like you would be at school, right? They would say, oh, he's at work. I shouldn't call him right now for personal things. Well, now that you're at home all the time, you just have to let everyone know what your at work time is so they know and they could respect that, right? With your students. Yes, very important to follow and respect the schedule. I see some chats coming through here. But yeah, but that's going to help you, again, not only keep open communication with your students, it will help you balance that home and work life. And let's see what we have here. All right, so we have a handful of teachers who create and share calendars with students. Excellent. And again, this will simplify a lot of communications, and it'll also help in building rapport, right? And then some of us have a calendar, which is good, but we don't share it. To-do lists, I always used to think they were helpful until I realized there's always things on the to-do list that end up not getting done, right? And so I realized, and there's some scientific studies behind this as well. It's better to schedule what's on your to-do list, and that way there's a specific time and the time limit for it to get done, rather than to have a to-do list. But I was a very big believer in to-do lists until I realized once I scheduled it, more and more things were getting done. And I completely understand the no calendar, right? There's no more schedules. We don't even know what day it is due to the pandemic. But again, because of that, I certainly think it's an important thing to have. And there's lots of free applications and tools, right, that you could use to help keep the schedule organized. But yeah, but it looks like most of us at least use a calendar, or if not a calendar, a to-do list to stay organized. But I would certainly recommend using a calendar and sharing it with everyone, not just your students, but also your friends, your family, and especially the people you live with. Yeah, very nice. And so, yes, having clear boundaries for at work and at home will keep communications nice and open with your students and hopefully help balance out some of that home life stuff going on. Yeah, all right. And yeah, and sometimes it's a matter about prioritizing, right? It's a matter about prioritizing, and we'll certainly talk about that a little bit at the end. But as far as prioritizing, and that's kind of what the to-do list, right? If you prioritize your to-do list into when it needs to be done, then it gets put into a schedule. And that was what I meant by the to-do list. It's better to put it in a schedule so your brain sees a time and when it needs to get done. All right. So here we go. So pre-teaching, right? Just some top tips for getting prepared and organized is have that morning routine. Have that routine to get your brain ready, right? To be prepared and face the day, right? And then have a designated workspace, again, that physically makes your body prepared and puts you into work mode, which is certainly very important. And manage your time using calendars and schedules. Again, not only will that keep you better organized, which will help with your professional and your school, and help balance out that work life. But again, super important, respect the schedule, right? You'll be tempted to continue working past work hours because things need to get done, but things always need to get done. And they always had to get done before, but you managed to leave the school, forget about that for at least a little bit while you're at home with your family, and then you took care of it the next day. So try to think about this the same way as far as working at home. And then let's take a look here about while we're teaching. So while we're teaching, we're going to touch on two things here, but one of the things is the different platforms that we use. And I think most of us use Zoom or Google Meet, Google Classroom. But we could take a look at this next poll here. And you could go ahead and vote with the poll. Right, which one do you use, or do you use both? And I'm going to touch very quickly on both of these because, like I said, I think these are the most popular platforms that we use. And let's take a look here. So mostly Zoom, mostly Classroom. Yeah, some of us use both. That's me. My university that I teach at, they use Google Meet. And then for International House University, like we're doing today, we use Zoom. Teams is another one. Yes, Teams is another great one. Teams, yeah. Video conference Telmex. I've never used that one, so I don't know what to say. All right, looks like mostly Zoom. Mostly Zoom. It looks like there's some Google Meet classrooms, Teams as well. Good. And a lot of us, I mean, we don't have a choice, right? The school or institution that you work at dictates what we use. So it looks like we have a lot of Zoom. Nice. And I think a lot of institutions use Zoom because of the breakout rooms. And that's certainly very helpful in teaching language, especially to keep the lessons student centered and interactive, right? All right. Yeah, so most of us use Zoom, and then we have a handful that use just Meet. And like I said, we'll touch on both of these items, so not to worry. All right. So if you use Zoom or Google Meet, right? Like I said, most institutions like to use Zoom because of the breakout rooms. And of course, some of you may have heard, Google Meet also introduced breakout rooms, but not to everybody, right? And so we'll talk about some of these things. But if you're using Zoom, couple things. One, definitely learn how to use the breakout rooms. It's a very effective way to keep lessons communicative, have students produce language and interact with each other. Another great tool that you should think about learning how to use is this annotation tool. You see up on this top right hand side here. Yes, and I'm using the annotation tool now. You can see this red dot. But one of the really cool things is you could underline, right? You could highlight, you could circle things that you want students to focus on. You could even write, draw, and if you want, you could even use text, right? And this is just one way to make it more visual, because you guys are saying that a good lesson needs to be visual. And so being able to use this annotate tool in Zoom, I think, is very helpful, in addition to the breakout rooms. And if you don't know how to use these tools, guys, YouTube's a great resource, tons of tutorials, and there's even tutorials made by teachers, right, teaching online, to show other teachers how they use these different tools. So definitely go check those out. But if you use Zoom, I think these are the two most important tools you could use for teaching online. Yeah, and the annotation tool especially to be visual. Now, if you're using Google Meet, Google Classrooms, or those Google tools, you need to learn about Google Chrome extensions, because one of the biggest complaints about Meet is there's no breakout rooms, but there is. And you don't have to be part of the beta test group that paid the big bucks to be included in the launch of the breakout rooms in Google Meet. But there are developers all over the world who create these extensions. Most of them come out of necessity, and that's what a couple of these have done. And so, for example, Google Meet Breakout Rooms is an extension that you could download right into your Chrome, and it will give you the functionality to use breakout rooms like you can in Zoom. Now, the nice thing about this is with Zoom, as Zoom users know, you cannot see or hear what's going on in each of the breakout rooms until you actually join the breakout room. One of the cool things with this is you can see and hear into each room. You can speak, share your screen, share your audio with specific rooms or all rooms, so on and so forth. And so I think it's a little bit more powerful than what Zoom has. And again, it's completely free. You just have to go to the Chrome Web Store and download this extension. And a lot of these things, guys, it's like, for example, this was a teacher that hated not having breakout rooms. And he was also a coder, or he is also a coder. So he put this together for himself. And then apparently there's a big need for something like this. And so he released it to the public. And so definitely, if you find these tools useful, certainly contribute. Yeah, even 100 pesos will help them maintain because these things have to be updated all the time. But again, I don't know this guy, but I use this all the time. And so I just want to make sure that he's taking care of the continue to maintain this product. So this is one example of an extension if you're using Google Meet, right? Another one would be this. This automatically takes attendance for you. I think it's super cool. It tells you when the student joins the class, if they left and came back. It tells you how long they were gone for, and it'll tell you how long, how many minutes the students were actually in attendance. And again, this is one of the extensions that deals with attendance. There's many, many, many. And again, if you're using any of these Google tools, definitely check out the Chrome Web Store. And this also goes for Google Forms, Google Docs, Google Calendars, Gmail, any of these Google tools that you could use online. They have these extensions for that will extend the usability of some of these free tools. And so because we're, especially a lot of us, we work for institutions that use Google Education and G Suite or Google, these extensions will make your life a lot easier. Yeah, for example, making quizzes or exams with Google Forms, there's certain extensions that will help you control cheating, right? Control when it's released, how it's released. And all you have to do is download an extension and it does all the work for you. Yeah. So if you use Google, anything Google, definitely check out the Chrome Web Store and look at the various extensions they have. And so what online tools do you use and recommend? Now let me open this one. This one's not open yet. Right. Wrong one. Sorry, guys. And I'm just curious to know what kind of tools you guys use. Screen. All right, guys. You guys are still going with the other one. Nice. I'm going to stop that one. And open this new one. So I will put the link to this new one in the chat. And if you're not in the chat, use the link you see on the screen. Let me find my chat box. Okay. So I put it under new voting link. So you could click on that if you're on this with Zoom, or if you're not on Zoom with us, you can go to menti.com and use the 7-digit code or scan the QR
Hello, guys. I think, yeah, I think there might have been, yeah, Tim is telling me that there was a connectivity issue, but in the meantime, remember that Tim was talking about what other tools you use or you've used before, right? So I'm gonna again, I'm gonna copy paste the link. It's in the chat box. So let me just copy paste it. There we go. So feel free to go ahead and continue voting. What other online tools would you recommend? Like for example, in my case, I recommend Padlet. Padlet is one of those tools that I highly recommend. One of those I highly enjoy. So I've gone to the chat box, and use that link, and what other online tools do you recommend, right? And Tim is going to take over now. I think Tim is back. Canva, yeah, that's a good one. So feel free, to go to the chat box, to the Menti link, and add that. Quizlet, fantastic. Yeah, that's another one. Yeah, awesome, fantastic, fantastic. All right.
All right, am I back?
Yep.
Cool. Thank you for keeping that going. Let me share my screen. I see. Sorry about that, you guys. I don't know what happened. We have this storm kind of coming through, so nice. Kahoots. Yes, Menti is what I'm using now. WordWall, Google Forms. Yes, Teams. Lots of tools. Google, Kahoot. Yes, using Google Drive. Online dictionaries. Absolutely. Ooh, Schoolology. I haven't seen that one in a while. Yeah, Padlet. Watch Together. Yes. Classroom, Word, Excel, Google Slides. Yes. Or do you mean Google Docs and Google Sheets, maybe? Yeah. Play. Yeah. Google for Education. Lots of great tools there. Coffee. Very, very important. Whoever put that, absolutely. Absolutely. We have some extension recommendations here as well. Grill is extension for Google Meet. And again, tons of extensions for all the different Google tools out there. Nice, you guys. I see some coming in the chat as well, I think. Yeah, Doodle, quizzes, yeah, Quizlet, absolutely. Canva, Google Slide, Powtoon, yes, to make great presentations. Yeah, Blackboard's a nice platform as well. Yeah, looks like a couple of you guys use Powtoons. Nice. Nice. Yes, British Council has a lot of great resources. Wonderful. Ooh, Gymmeet. I've never heard about Gymmeet. Bitmoji, absolutely. Flipgrid, an excellent interactive way to use images. All right, they keep loading. Jamboard is another one. Absolutely very useful. They just updated that recently. Yes, a name spinner, very useful for nominating students. Nearpod, Kahoot. All right, you guys, lots of great recommendations. And some of these you'll see as we move forward. But the main thing here is, one, certainly, let me make this bigger so you could see it. There you go, you guys. So there are these free online tools that Google does provide, right? And so I would certainly consider learning whatever tools you use every day first, right? So that does go back to not just which platform you're using, right? Whether it be Zoom or Google Meet, learn the basic tools for whichever tools you use every day. And then same thing here with these different apps, right? Because we're doing everything online, something like Google Drive becomes super important because this way you can share documents, videos, activities with your students in a very easy way. and learning how to use Google Docs, right? This is a great tool for teaching, for feedback, right? Because everything happens in real time and everyone, students, teachers, can interact. Same thing with Jamboard, is an interactive whiteboard that Google has. And again, you can make interactive activities because you could share the link and all the students could be on one Jamboard, right? Or one document to do a group activity, individual activities, so on and so forth. Another one is Google Slides to put your presentations together. If you know how to use PowerPoint, you pretty much know how to use Google Slides. They're very similar. And again, it just depends on your teaching situation as well, right? But use whatever tools, one, that you know how to use, and two, learn how to use some of these tools that you use on a regular basis. And once you learn these foundational tools, then you could start experimenting with some of these other types of online tools that you might find useful or someone recommended. But again, learn how to use them one at a time. Yeah, there's no need to learn to use or learn how to use them all at one time, but be realistic and one at a time. Some things you might find they're useful, some things you'll play with for a little bit and say, nope, this one's not for me. But this is how we have to kind of explore the different tools that are out there. And many of these tools are free, or you could pay for an upgrade kind of thing, but you could certainly use them for free. All of these Google tools are 100% free as long as you have a Google account. And if you have a Gmail or if you have an Android device, you automatically have a Google account. So you have access to all these tools. Because these tools are so widely used, these, not just the Google tools, but these teaching tools as well. Again, YouTube is a great resource for tutorial videos. And you'll see teachers who have used these successfully that want to teach you how to incorporate it into your teaching. And so these are some great online tools. And you guys mentioned some other great ones in the poll. I just saw chat come through again. Yes. And yes, we do have Q&A. So if you do have questions, please put them into the Q&A section, right? Not in the chat, because in the chat, they'll kind of fly by and we won't be able to flag them. All right. So again, YouTube, great resource, right? So as far as online tools, learn how to use the tools that you use daily. If you use Zoom every day or on a regular basis, learn how to use those basic tools. Learn how to use the breakout rooms. Learn how to use the annotation tools, right? If you use Meet or Google tools, learn about Chrome extensions and find the ones that are going to be useful for you and your situation. Again, there's tons of videos out there as well on how to use these, and they're usually very short and easy to follow because all the coding, right, has been done for you. You just have to download it and you could use it right away. And then once you learn how to use your daily tools, then you could learn how to use some other useful tools. But again, one at a time. There's no need to learn everything at once. It's not possible. And there's just too many tools out there. You cannot possibly use them all, right? So find ones maybe through recommendations, through some research that seem useful to you, and then learn them one at a time. See if it works for your needs and purposes. And then we'll talk about some offline tools as well. What kind of tools do you use offline, right? Like a mini whiteboard, or some of us have a big whiteboard hanging up on the wall that may or may not be used during class. But then also think about what tools do you use on a regular basis, right? Like your laptop or computer, a webcam, headphones, a microphone, right? We use these every day or on a regular basis. And so consider spending a little bit of extra money to buy something that's quality. So it's going to, one, last, and two, do what you need it to do. For example, having two monitors. If you have two monitors, it makes it very easy to organize what you want to show on one screen and then see what's actually being shown on the second screen. Now, if you don't have two monitors or you don't have two computers, that's fine. I'm using my tablet as my second monitor. So if I look at my tablet, I see exactly what you guys are seeing. But if I look at my laptop, I can see my notes, I can see my presentation, right? That you guys cannot see because I'm only sharing the one screen. And things like this, certainly think about. Another thing we don't think about a lot is the chair. And how many hours do you spend sitting in your chair in front of the computer? And it might be worth it to spend a little bit extra money to have a nice, comfortable chair because you do spend so much time in the chair in front of a computer, right? It's very difficult. It's very tiring to work in a hard, maybe even a folding chair or a plastic chair or a metal chair, right? Especially if you're spending long amounts of time in the chair in front of the computer. And so think about these things that we use on a regular basis. And again, if you're able to, spend just the extra money that you need to make sure that you have the right tools that will last. Another super useful tool, I teased this during the first presentation I did, is this mini folding table. With this guy, I bought mine for, I think it was 250 pesos at the Walmart. You could work sitting in your couch or sofa. You could work sitting on your bed. The best part is, instead of spending lots of money on a standing table, I just put my folding table on top of my table, my laptop on top of that, and now I also have a standing table. And so this thing allows me to work virtually anywhere. And again, this is one of those offline tools I use all the time. And so things like this will certainly help you out. But the most important offline tool is you, the teacher, right? And what you know about teaching and your experience in teaching is the most important offline tool. And remember, the foundational, right? We still need to teach reading, writing, listening, speaking. We still need to teach vocabulary, grammar. But you know how to do this already because you used to do it in the classroom. Those foundational methods for teaching don't change online. It just needs to be adapted a little bit for teaching online. But keep that in mind while you're planning is yes, maybe things need to be more visual or interactive, but we still need to teach the core skills and the important systems of the language of English. And you guys know how to do this already because you've done it in the face-to-face classroom. So none of this changes. Maybe how you deliver it will change, but take your experience, take your knowledge about teaching and just adapt it to the online world. And again, all these different tools we talked about online will certainly help with that. But it doesn't mean you have to use the fanciest, newest, most technological online tool out there. I've seen very effective classes given just by using a simple Google Doc, right? Or using a whiteboard that was there in their house, but they used it like they would in the classroom. And again, it was very effective. So it doesn't mean you have to use the newest, fanciest application or platform out there, right? Just take what you used to do and adapt it so you could do it online, because all that foundational knowledge you have still applies. Yeah, so don't forget that. That's one of the most important things teaching online, because all the teachers want to use the most visual, the most attractive, the most newest, whatever it is, technology. But again, one, if you don't know how to use it well, that creates a different set of problems. And two, oftentimes we lose sight of what's most important, which is teaching, right? And so offline tools, yeah, buy quality tools for the things you use regularly, right? Laptop, webcam, a microphone, right? Headphones, even a chair. These things will help make you more productive and less tired by the end of the day, for sure. Consider using a second monitor or a screen. Again, if you don't have a second monitor, using a tablet or a cell phone as a second monitor can be very helpful. So you can actually see what your students are seeing, right? Because sometimes we forget that we're not sharing a microphone or sharing a screen. But if you have a second monitor, you'd be able to see that right away. And then maintain what you know about teaching and how you teach, right? What you teach. We just need to adapt it for online. But everything that you've done in the past, your knowledge, your experience in teaching still applies, right? We still need to teach the 4 core skills. We still need to teach the systems of language. And you know how to do this. It's just a matter of finding a way to convey all this information online. And the last little bit I'll talk about here is post-teaching. How do we avoid the burnout? And like I said, because we're working from home and because there's always so much to be done, that oftentimes we will continue working until we look like this guy in the picture, right? And you get burned out. And so certainly, let me change the get the spotter out of the way, and let me go to the next question here. All right, so you could answer the next poll if you'd like, and we'll get to that. But again, how can we avoid burnout? So first things first, I mentioned it, respect your schedule. You set a schedule, you have a start time, you have an end time. Once you're done with work, right? Be done with work. Be prepared for home. Spend time with your family, the kids, your pets, your friends, what have you. Yeah, super, super important. There's always things that need to be done. But again, that was always the case. And we always found a way to go home at the end of the day. And so you need to find a way, again, to go home at the end of the day. If you have to set up a specific work area, putting away your work area could be a nice way for your brain and your body to realize it's the end of the workday. Right? If you have a home office, again, you could shut the door, and when you're on the outside of it, obviously, you are now out of work, right? Or you're outside of work hours. So again, respect the schedule that you create and set, and don't work when you're not in work hours. Next thing is take regular breaks. Don't skip lunchtime. It's important. You need to do this, right? Take short breaks in between classes. Ideally, take, 15 minutes every 2 hours. Yeah, at least stand up, walk around, stretch. Yeah, because being sat this whole time, certainly isn't good for you. So just standing, stretching, taking some deep breaths. Yes, just to re-energize. But again, take that lunch break, because that's much needed time to, again, recharge your batteries and re-energize. And then here, what do you do to reward yourself or celebrate small wins? And that was the last question I'd posted here. And let's take a look. Relax. Yes, Netflix and chill. Take a nap. Yes, very, very good. If you have the time to take a quick half-hour nap, that would be excellent. Yes. And again, here we're also talking about rewarding yourself for small accomplishments, right? Big accomplishments, of course, but small accomplishments as well, right? For example, when I finish a CELTA course, I don't go out for a nice dinner anymore, but I order in from one of my favorite restaurants and have myself a nice meal just to celebrate closing out the course, right? Or if it's something small, right? If it's we finally got through the first partial of this trimester for university, then yes, I'll go out and buy me an ice cream, right? Celebrate. It's a small win, but I finished grading all the papers, all the scores are uploaded. I'm going to have me an ice cream, right? So certainly buy an ice cream, yeah, do some yoga, do some exercising, yeah, chocolates. Chocolates is nice. Rest, yeah, and there's different forms of rest, right? For some people, it's watching a movie, watching Netflix, taking a nap. Yes, sleep. No, take a nap's a big one too. Nice. Good. I'm glad you guys all have opportunities, or so many of you have opportunities to take a nap. I love taking naps, and I certainly don't get enough opportunities to do that. Tequila? Yeah, okay. Absolutely. Celebrate. I mean, that would certainly be one way to get your brain clocked out and outside of work mode. And again, a nice way to reward yourself. Good. Spend time with the family. Super important. And again, that all goes back to honoring your schedule, right? If your family knows from this time to this time you're at work, that outside of that time you're there and available for them, then they could be more understanding as well. And so, certainly, all those are important. And so, here again, just to reiterate, take regular breaks during the day, right, between classes, lunch break, especially. Take at least half an hour, if not 1 hour, if you can. Again, just to de stress and re energize for the rest of your day. And you've created a calendar, you've shared it with your students and your family, hopefully. And so, if you expect them to respect the calendar, you need to respect the calendar as well. And so, at the end of the day, clock out, whatever that means for you, right? For me, it's putting away my workstation once my computer is shut down and all my work things are organized in the corner of my desk. My workday is over, and my brain knows that, and it could clock out and enjoy my non working time. And of course, super important, reward yourself for accomplishments and small wins, you guys, no matter how small. All right, maybe not too small, but definitely it's important to reward yourself and celebrate those small wins. The overall, this is kind of what we looked at today. Yeah, for the pre teaching there, I'll make it a little bit bigger. For pre teaching, again, try to follow that morning routine. It'll get you ready for the day. Have a designated workspace. Again, this helps you mentally check in, be prepared for work, and manage your time. Create and share your calendar to not only have a good rapport with your students, but also try to balance that work and home life. Yeah, while we're teaching, we looked at some online tools. Oh, sorry guys, but definitely learn how to use the online tools you use daily. Tons of tutorials on YouTube. Take advantage of those. If you use the Google Suite tools, definitely check out Chrome extensions that will extend the usefulness of all those Google tools, whether it be Google Docs, Google Drive, Google Meet, right? Google Forms. People have created extensions for all these things to extend what it can already do. And then definitely find, right, through research, recommendations, other useful tools that you could use. Yeah, we talked about gamification at the beginning. So there are lots of great sites, right, like Flippity. You saw that one earlier. Or if you want to do polls, Mentimeter, Direct Poll, right? So find whichever tools are going to be useful to you and then learn how to use them one at a time, right? And the ones that you continue to use, you'll become good at. The ones that don't suit your teaching or the lesson, you won't use, and you can learn other tools, but learn them one at a time. Don't try to learn everything at once. Too overwhelming. And then offline tools, again, buy quality tools for items that are used regularly. Oh, what just happened? Oh, the chats are popping up. Playing video games, absolutely. Super important, guys. Let me close this. Okay. There you go. Back to big screen. So yes, buy quality tools for the items you use regularly. Right? Consider buying a microphone. It makes a big difference. Right? Consider having a second monitor. It'll help organize the way you present and deliver your lessons. And then remember, what you know and your experience in teaching doesn't change. So you know how to teach already. You know what to teach. It's just a matter of adapting it for teaching it online. And everyone will have their preferences of which tools they want to use. And again, that goes back to learning these useful tools one at a time. And then, of course, post-teaching to avoid breakout, take regular breaks, super important. Respect the calendar. Again, clocking out will keep you productive every day, right? There's always something to be done, and there's always tomorrow to get it done. And then reward yourself. Big accomplishments, small accomplishments. It's important to reward yourself to keep yourself motivated and productive each day. And so thank you so much, you guys, for your participation with your polls. I love hearing the feedback from you guys. It makes me not feel so alone. And I know we have some questions popped up in the Q&A, so we'll take a look at those in a moment. I see Orlando's here. Let me turn my camera on here. Orlando, did you want to share a screen, or should we just read this up? Or
yes, can I? Fantastic. So thank you very much, Tim. Again, everyone, I would like to thank Tim for his time, right? Because I think he's done a great job. Thank you, Tim, for like sharing all of those. I mean, there are tools that I didn't even know myself, right? There were things that I was like, oh, maybe that's something I should try. Because I for once, like for example, I didn't know that you could actually have breakout rooms on Google Meet.
on Google.
I had absolutely no idea. So
yeah, and then like I said, one of the cool things about that one is it actually has better functionality than what a Zoom has, because this teacher also used Zoom, and he didn't like the fact that you couldn't communicate with the students in the breakout rooms. And so he developed the code in a specific way, so you are able to do that with the Meet.
With the extension, with the Meet extension. It's just, I think that was incredibly helpful, and like people saying thank you very much. So guys, so Tim is gonna take like a quick. I'm gonna give Tim a mini break, like a quick like 3-4 minute break, because I want to share something with you guys. So again, thank you, Tim. Again, guys, if you have any questions, remember to go to the Q&As. We're gonna give you like a couple of minutes to go to the Q&As, and today, Tim was talking about teaching online, right? And this is something that again, like maybe some of you are already doing, some of you are already encountering, some of you may have been forced to do that, right? Like Brenda is saying, like the problem is that some students don't have internet access or connection totally. So I mean, I guess we do what we could do, under the current circumstances and beyond, right? So, but if anybody here, is interested in knowing more about like some of those tools, or some of the theory, or some of the practice, some of the basically methods that you could do, for like teaching online. Remember that, at IH University, we have this new course, this teaching online diploma, at IH University, that is going to help you feel more prepared for asynchronous and synchronous teaching. And that's basically what you get in from the course. We explore things like the theory and some of the basics behind teaching online, and then we dive deep into the difference between asynchronous learning. Like, for example, Tim today was talking about some of the things and tools that you could use, or if you're already using things like Edmodo, Google Classroom, for like developing a course online, we go into that. And also, we dive into other tools and platforms like Zoom, Google Meet, for example, and virtual environment for how to conduct synchronous classes, right? And then all other resources for online teaching. So if anybody's interested, remember, just go to the website. It's ihmexico.com /n/teaching online, and that's something that you could sign up. It's our teaching online course. We start a course whenever you want to start. I guess that's one of the things about the course, that the course is completely on demand. So if you want to take it, the course is also for free. If you're taking CELTA Online. If you haven't taken CELTA Online, I know that if anybody here in the audience has already taken CELTA Online. If not, I highly recommend it. But if you take the CELTA Online course, you get the teaching online course into the mix for free. Absolutely, right? So anyway, I just wanted to bring that up because that was relevant to the session today. And I can see some people have posted more questions. So maybe Tim, back to you, and you could maybe start answering those questions. Feel free to share as well, because maybe you might have to share
Absolutely.
for some of those questions.
All right. So I had a couple of questions here about Padlet and breakout rooms in Teams. Again, both of those, go to YouTube. Tons of tutorials on those. You can use breakout rooms with Teams. It's not quite as easy, but there are ways to do it. And as far as using Padlet, there's actually teachers online that have put tutorials on how to use Padlet for teaching. And so definitely check those out online. Yeah, because that would be a lecture in and of itself. I had a question here from Nicholas. Recommend one online app for junior high students. I don't know if it would be for them to use or for you to use, but Flippity, the one you see right here, has a host of tools that you could use for gamification, for teaching, for interactive activities, completely free. So I think that one might be a good one online app recommendation for junior high students, or that you could use with your junior high students. So Nicholas, I hope that answered your question as far as the one I might recommend. Cool. All right, what's the next one? Okay. How do you break it to your coordinator? Yeah, because they're the ones making you work after contract hours or over hours. And again, I think this is a problem we always used to have, right? Even when we were teaching face to face, every now and then we'd have to bring some work home with you. And again, sometimes you may have to go a little bit over, right? But again, your coordinators can't expect you to be working 24/7, right? Because they're not doing it. And so I think, it's going to depend on the coordinator, right? And how you approach them. But I think coordinators are certainly reasonable, and they expect you to get your job done, of course. But as long as you could organize your time to do it in an efficient way, so you could do it within your hours, that would certainly be the best way. And that would come down to scheduling. And again, instead of making to-do lists, to actually schedule when these things need to get done, so they get done, instead of moving to the bottom of the to-do list. Yeah, I found myself doing that a lot. Bruce, yes, this video will be available online. I believe they just put that in the chat. So you could click on the link and you would be able to retrieve this presentation. Excellent. Yes, this recording will be shared. I had a couple questions regarding that. All right. Do we have any other? Let me see. online teaching. Yeah, you had problems, clicked in and out. Okay, well, that's an anonymous. I was going to say, I will pass this to the panel, but it's an anonymous, so I can't help you uh, as far as being the participation being considered. So if you could send us your name, then Orlando will be able to send you the link to the certificate. Yes, Orlando?
Yeah, thank you for that. I'll clarify that because people are talking about two things. People are talking about the recording, yes, absolutely. So if you're here, we have you registered in the webinar. Remember that when you clicked on the registration, the International House Unit Room section, you were provided with the link, but also in turn, we have your email address. So we're going to be sending you to your email address. We're going to be sending you two things. We're going to be sending you your certificate of attendance, Claudia, if you were here. And you were here because you registered, not because somebody shared the link. Remember that it's always very important that you register for the event, because otherwise we don't have your details for the certificate, right? So if you're here, we have your details, and we'll be sending this to you in an email along with the recording so that you can share that with your friends and eat some, grab some popcorns, when you are resting, in the evening and having fun watching the recording. So definitely. I don't know. Is there any other questions from the floor? Do you see any other questions, Tim?
I just saw one in general. What was your best experience using an online tool? I don't know if this was the best experience, but like I mentioned, I saw a very effective lesson being taught just with just with Google Docs. I saw a teacher use a Google Doc, use it as a presentation tool, as well as interactive activities, all in one document. It was done really well. And so that just showed me you don't need all the bells and whistles and the most expensive apps or platforms or tools, right? With just that one application, completely free to use, they were able to do a completely full lesson, interactive, well delivered. And then on the same note, I've also seen some great lessons using various different tools, right? Like Google Slides or Google Jamboard. And so it's just a matter of what are you comfortable using? And again, learn these things one at a time. And so you could build your tool chest, I guess, of the different online tools you could use.
Yeah. Fantastic. Absolutely. So, well, thank you very much, Tim. I hope that the audience found it very helpful. I found it very helpful, and very interesting and engaging and useful. And as always, you kept the session interactive through those polls. So also thank you for that. I think people enjoy that.
Good.
Of course. No, well done. And guys, before you go, if you could, we always benefit from your feedback. Remember that we're always doing these sort of things, so that we can run more webinars, directed at what you need. So I'm going to share in the chat box. I'm going to share a Google form. So that you could maybe just spend just 4 questions. If you could just spend 5 minutes right now answering that, it would look like this. This is a form. We're just asking you to go to the link, click on the link in the chat, and give us your thoughts. Just 3, like 1, 2, 3, 4 quick questions. And if you could just spend a couple of minutes answering that right now, that would be great before you go, right? Before you wave. The other day I was reading an article that we all have become Zoom wavers when we wave goodbye, because this is what people do on Zoom, but not in the real world, apparently. So if you could just please spend just 5 minutes, less than 5 minutes answering that, I would highly appreciate it. And maybe in the meantime, Tim, you could maybe, while people answer this and say goodbye, maybe you could just remind us of the next webinar. I think you had a slide for that.
Absolutely. I was just getting ready to share that when you shared.
Awesome, fantastic. And in the meantime, people will go to the Google form and give us their feedback.
Yes. So again, thank you so much for joining me tonight. Thanks so much for your participation. Our next event will be on the 26th of November. Yeah, same time. And it will be discussing teachers' roles. So what are the different roles we as teachers take on when we teach online? Yeah. So that will be in 2 weeks. Yes, November 26th, 4:30 Mexico City time.
That's right, exactly. And in that talk, some of you might know him already. We're going to have also one of our trainers and staff. This is Ricardo Fajardo. Some of you might know him already. Some of you have been trained by Ricardo himself, and he's going to join us to talk about the different teacher roles that now people are taking on, even more actively in this new online reality, right? So maybe if you're having some complications or some issues, with your online reality as you're teaching online, and you don't know if you're like a facilitator. What am I doing now? What should I do? But also all of those different roles that we're taking on. Also, as in like listening to our learners, being there for them. Because remember that now that people are either taking their classes at home from an online environment or social distancing, sometimes that has an impact also on our minds, our minds, our bodies, our brains, our emotions. So all of that Ricardo is going to be discussing in the next live session. And just to give you a reminder of how you can join our sessions, and now I'm going to take your screen.
Yep.
If that's okay, Tim. So remember that if you want to join, you only have to go to our website. Remember that if you click on our website, you'll see this section, My University Media Room. And you only have to go there, click on the academic webinars, read more, and then you'll be taken to, there you go, International Academic Webinars. This was Tim here today. And then you have the next one right here, right? So remember, it's in ihmexico.mx/n/ih media room. And just because we're super happy to provide you with all the details that you need, I'm going to provide you with a link right here so that you can join right now. Okay, so thank you, and once again, thank you, Tim. Thank you very much for your thank you. Absolutely, I think it's always great to have different people, and also the same people that we love also coming back. So thank you very much. And everyone, thank you again for joining. We absolutely loved having you here, guys. Remember that this is something that we're doing to keep you engaged, to keep you trained up, to keep you updated. And every single webinar that we're running, we're doing it for you. We're doing it because of you, and we're doing it so that we can keep all of this craziness how could I say, we could keep it bay, we could just keep it on the side, and instead we can help our learners become the best version of themselves they can be, and in doing so also the best version that you can be, the best teacher, coordinator, director that you can be. So thank you, guys. Thank you, Tim, once again.
Thank you.
No, thank you. And Maria Regina, yes, remember, you're getting your certificates in an email. Remember, if you signed up for this webinar, we have your email, and you'll be getting the email and the recording potentially next week. So just give us a week, and we'll be sending this to you, right? Your International House assessor will be sending this to you, and if not, we'll do it from our end centrally. So thank you, guys, and happy weekend, I guess, right? Yes, hopefully we'll have a president in the United States by the end of the week. So
they're trying to figure that out, right? They're trying to figure that out.
They're trying to figure it out. So if anybody has friends in the States, wish them luck, because they have a crazy weekend coming up. Okay. So thank you, guys, and happy weekend. Thank you, Tim, and goodbye. Until next time.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Orlando. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.